In this video, we're going to talk about your chief career purpose. Now, either you have one and maybe you don't know what it's called, or you don't have one. And if you're in this bucket and you don't have a chief career purpose, it's going to seriously harm the rest of your career. Whether you're in the job search right now or not, having a chief career purpose is so important. What is it? What is a chief career purpose? Well, I always like to think of my favorite quote. And it's a quote by one of my favorite quotes. It's a quote by Yogi Berra. He was a catcher with the New York Yankees, baseball Hall of Famer. Now, I'm not really a baseball fan by any means. However, I love some of Yogi Berra's quotes. And one of my favorite is, if you don't know where you're going, you might end up someplace else. So insightful, right? So simple yet so insightful. But this is hugely important for your career, right? Because I speak to hundreds and hundreds of executives every single year in my role at the Ambitious Exec. And what I find is that so many of them have just kind of fallen into the thing that they're doing. Right, so maybe out of college they were offered a job, and then they've just kind of carried on, and they haven't really thought about where they're going, blah blah blah. Right, I like to ask them this question: did you choose your career, or did your career choose you? Right, because really, you should be the one who's in the driving seat here. Now, I'm not talking because most of our clients are people that are at the director level, the VP level, even the C-suite executive level. People who have a lot of experience. Now, I'm not talking here about making a wholesale change to your career and saying, oh, I want to be an artist or I want to be a film director or something like that, right? I'm talking about really, truly understanding what it is in your work life and what you want to achieve throughout your career that's going to get you to that place that when you retire or whatever it is that you do after you finish your main career, that you look back and you say, yeah, I did the things I wanted to. I achieved my goals. And that's what a chief career purpose is really all about. What is your career? When you look back at that time, what are you going to say to yourself? I'm proud of what I achieved. I had the impact that I wanted. I was fulfilled in the work that I was doing. I made a difference in people's lives. Maybe I made a difference to the world at large. Is that what you want from your career when you get to that end? Or do you just want to earn some money and then forget about it? I hope it's the former. And that's what a chief career purpose is. And so I often go through an exercise with clients, which is to pretend you're in this situation in the future and you're looking back. What were some of the things that you loved about what you did? What are some of the things that you achieved? What about the companies you worked for? Why were those companies the type of companies that you like to work for? What was it about what they did? What was the leadership like? What were the teams that you led? What was the work that you did on a day-to-day basis? Or are you going to think back over your career and think, oh, well, I missed all that time with my family. Was it worth it? No. Or are you going to think to yourself, wow, I got to have so many amazing experiences. And because of the company I was working for, I got to spend all the time with my family that I needed to achieve the goals, both personally and professionally, that I had. That's what a chief career purpose is all about. Right? One of the biggest tenets of what we teach at the Ambitious Exec is the concept of working on your career versus in your career. Right? So, as anyone who may be at the top end of business, this is huge, right? Particularly small businesses or growing departments of larger businesses. The focus for leaders always is to work on the business versus in the business, which means you focus on the strategy, you focus on the growth, you focus on the long-term goals and how you're going to achieve them and managing the people that are going to do that, rather than you being the person who's writing the reports or you're the person who's actually producing. That's not what leaders should be doing, right? Unless the company is 5 people, right? When it gets to a decent size, you should be working on the business rather than in the business. And it's exactly the same thing for your career. What most people do is they spend all their time working in their career. Every single day, they go to work, then they go home, then they go to work, then they go home, and they never think about their career as this journey, as this pathway. And they never think that they have control over what that journey looks like. It's like, well, will I get promoted? I don't know. I just have to wait and see. Right? Will I be able to achieve the things I want to? Well, I don't know. Depends if X, Y, and Z happens. It depends if this person does this or this person does this. That's not planning. Right? If you're at the C-suite, you know that you can't run a company like that. So why are you running your career like that? You need to take charge of your own career and treat your career the same way that you treat whatever you do in your role, right? The same way that you run the department or run the company or run the division or whatever it is that you do specifically. You need to translate that thinking to your career. So you're working on your career. So you're thinking about, well, where am I right now? Does that align with what I want to be doing? Does it align with my long-term career goals, right? In terms of fulfillment, in terms of impact, in terms of earning potential. If not, if those things don't align, what should I do about it? What's my strategy? What's my plan for actually executing on the thing that I need to do, right? Or execute on the actions that I need to do to get me to that next level. What is that? What does that even look like? That's what it's all about when we talk about working on your career. And that's where the chief career purpose is so important because, again, if you don't know where you're going, you might end up someplace else. So you need to know where is it that you're going, and then you need to understand that to get to that place that you want to get to, you need to work on your career versus just in your career like most people do when they go day to day every single day and don't even think about their career as this long-term thing. Right? Your career is a marathon, not a sprint. So what things are you going to do to make sure that when you end that marathon, you're going to be in the right place? You're going to be in the place that you want to. Does that mean joining a company where you have a high chance of obtaining a good amount of equity, and you know that that company is going to exit? So you're going to make a few $1 million over the next 10 years, right? When that sale happens, or is it the case that you want to work for a company that has a very strong focus on helping the environment, right? It's very an environmentally conscious company, right? Or maybe it's a human conscious company and it's all about how they manage their supply chain so that they make sure that people aren't exploited. Maybe it's all three of those, right? But if you don't sit down to think about it, how are you ever going to know? And if you never know, how are you going to make it happen? You're just going to be sat there after you've finished your career and you're like, well, that was okay. I just spent 40 years and it was all right. I don't think that's what you want. And that's why you need to focus on having a chief career purpose in place and then working on your career, not in your career, and taking some time to think through these things. Take a couple of days, take a week to really think about what it is you want. And then I'm pretty sure that what's going to happen is you're going to decide where I'm working right now is not exactly aligned with what I want to do. So you have two choices, right? And this is what always happens with our clients. You have one of two choices. Choice number one is you stay where you are and try and make it better. That's possible. And if the company you're at ticks most of the boxes, that's probably the best approach for you. However, for many, many people, the thing they have to do is move on because you realize that where you're at, you're not achieving the things that you want to achieve, right? And I can guarantee with all the opportunity that there always is in the marketplace for people who are skilled at the executive level, you will be able to find the thing that you want without sacrificing the career equity that you've built up, right? And the career equity is the tenure at certain companies, right? In many cases, story for a different day, but in many cases that means you're underpaid if you haven't moved on for a long time. I've got other videos about that. But you need to decide what it is that you want to do and how you're going to do it. And in most cases, that's going to mean I need to move on to a new company. And that's a great thing because that shows that you're taking control of your career, that you move away from did you choose your career or did your career choose you, right? That you just kind of went along with the flow, that you've been headhunted along the way, that this opportunity just fell into your lap and you never really thought about it. It was like, oh, it's an extra $50K a year. Great, I'll just take that role. I want you to really, really deeply think about how important it is to be doing work that you love and getting paid what you're worth, because that's what this is all about. So take some time to figure out what your chief career purpose is by visualizing, I'm 65, 70 years old, I'm looking back over my career. Am I happy? And if I am, why am I happy? What does that mean? Where does that happiness come from? Where does that fulfillment come from? Where does that earning potential come from? All those things. And then figure out if you're on that pathway right now. Is that purpose something that you're actually going to achieve, or is it just a pipe dream? And if it's just a pipe dream, take the steps right now to change it and get to the place that you want to get to. And I promise your career can be so much better than it already has been, even if it's already been fantastic. And I really want that for you. I want that for everybody that I come into contact with. So go out there, figure out your chief career purpose, think about working on your career versus just in your career, and it's going to be fantastic.